Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We are so happy you're here today.
On today's video, we're gonna be talking about when is the right time to move in together. And we're gonna jump right into that. So why don't we
Get started.
We are not experts in relationships by no means. And for today's video, we're just sharing our experiences in moving in together. They may work for you, they may not work for you.
Exactly.
But they did work for us. So we thought
more or less.
Yeah, for the most part. So why don't we jump into a quick overview of how moving in together transitioned over a long period. So when we first started talking and dating, we spent so much time together. I had my own house at the time, so Thomas would spend the night with me. I never spent the night with him because he lived with his mom still.
The good old days.
The good old days. I would say that it probably started off with maybe 1 or 2 times a week, and then that led into like 2 or 3 times a week to 3 or 4 times a week.
Absolutely.
We decided early on that we wanted to take our time with our relationship, so we didn't make any plans to move in with each other in the beginning. The first year went by, we basically lived together, but not really, because you brought a bag, remember? You'd bring a sleeping bag that had your clothes in just for that day.
Not a sleeping bag.
What is it?
An overnight bag.
An overnight bag, yeah.
A sleeping bag is where you go camping with.
Yeah. Well, so he would bring his bag of clothes just for that one night, and then he would do that every single day. So he would still go home every day, pack a bag, and come over. I don't even know that you had a toothbrush at my house. Maybe
yeah, I'm like, sometimes I would shower at his house, and then sometimes I would just go home and shower. It was weird. I don't know why we did it like that. And then we kind of went through a period where I started staying over less and less, which then led into the period where we broke up.
Right. Part of that was because I had bought a house because I did want to move in together. At this point, we had been together a little over 3 years.
I think it was about 4 years.
Well, we broke up at the 4 year. So we had been together a little over 3 years. I'd bought a house, was wanting to move in together, and I wanted to propose, and I think you knew that. And then at the same time, his brother bought a house in was building a new construction house in Chattanooga. And then Thomas broke to me that he was going to be moving in with his brother instead of me. So that was really hard for me to get over. And then that led into him moving into his brother's house,
which was like 45 minutes away.
Yeah, and I was used to spending every day with him and him spending the night at my house, and then now he's moving 45 minutes away, and it just seemed like he wanted something different, and we ultimately broke up less than a month of him being in his brother's house.
Yeah.
And then we stayed broken up for a good 4 months after that.
Right, and then...
And during that time, we weren't really sure if we were gonna stay together or not. We did make a YouTube video about that. If you wanna watch it, you can click right here. But, yeah.
So, after we got back together, we decided that it was going to be for the long haul. I ended up proposing to PJ. We got engaged on Christmas. By then, we had been together for 4 years. And then I actually moved in with PJ that following January, so about a month later, moved out of my brother's house into PJ's house, and then we began the search for another home.
Yeah, so the very first house that we had moved into together was the house that I had originally bought for both of us. It's this cute little Cape Cod style.
White house, black shutters.
Yeah, it was a cute house. It was move-in ready, which for me was different because every house I'd ever bought before was a house that needed thousands of dollars of work done to it. So it was nice being able to move into a house. And so we moved in, we started making it our own, changing the wall colors and
hanging curtains, and it was fun. It was fun for a while.
And we were there for how long?
We were only there for like 7 months.
And then we found a house that we wanted to buy together.
And fix up.
So we found a mid-century ranch, and we bought that house and started fixing it up. It took 6 months to fix it up, and then when we finished it, we moved into the new house. And that was actually the house that we really started using our Instagram account. Our Instagram was to kind of document the process of renovating it. So that was the timeline of kind of how we moved in. So it took us 4 years to actually move in together. While we dated, we did spend a lot of time together, and he spent the night at my house quite a bit throughout that time. And I think it was good for us to take our time with moving in together. It kind of helped us to appreciate those big steps in moving in together and really able to enjoy the relationship. I will say something about not living together and going out on dates is kind of fun because like you get ready at your house, they get ready at their house, and then you meet up and you're seeing them for the first time.
Yeah, there's still a sense of like mystery, and there's
Right.
still a sense of magic in the relationship. And I think a lot of times whenever you move in together too soon, that magic and that spark that's there in the beginning goes away way too soon. And it's like Ariana Grande says in her new song NASA,
Oh, he doesn't even know.
when she says no, when she says, when I miss you, it'll change the way I kiss you.
Right.
And so it's so, I mean, Ari knows best.
So we would say that our tips for deciding on whether or not to move in with each other is make sure you've had enough time to get to know each other. I think that's important to develop that relationship before just committing to moving in. I've known relationships of people that dated for like a few days and moved in with each other, and then a few weeks. A few others have been together for 18 years and haven't moved in with each other. I just think you need to get to know the person before you make that commitment, because it could ruin your relationship if you don't give yourself enough time to build that foundation and you just rush everything. So I would say my number one tip for deciding whether or not you want to is get to know the person.
100%. And I will say, this is not just for homosexual relationships. My brother, who is a heterosexual male, let a girl move in with him like 5 months into dating, and I think they only lasted like 4 months after that. So yeah, we strongly believe, I mean, can you imagine if we would have moved in together and then broken up and then we'd have to move out? Because I think it was just...
and then had you lived with me and then moved out, that would have been more devastating than the breakup was by itself.
We wouldn't have gotten back together.
I don't think so. And we would have been living together through that time that we were really just not getting along.
Where we needed our space.
Which could have been even worse.
Right.
So yeah, I think the way that we did it and giving it time and then moving in with each other was really good. I know people that have known each other a day and moved in and it worked and it was perfect, but for us specifically, giving each other time and also making sure that we were both financially ready to be able to, because that's another thing we should talk about. How did we split up the bills? Because we weren't married. So when Thomas first moved in with me, we split the utilities, and we at that time had separate bank accounts. So we split the utilities, we split the mortgage payment on the house.
Well, it was weird because we were engaged, but everything was in his name. So it was like I was paying him like my fiance rent. It was just weird to us.
So when Thomas first moved in with me, we just split all the bills because we had separate bank accounts, and we split them right down the middle. And then by the time we had bought the second house, we had ventured into whether or not we should combine our bank accounts. Maybe we'll talk about that in a near YouTube video.
That could be a good one.
That could be a good one, because that was a struggle for me to want to agree to that. Why don't we talk about what it was like when we actually lived together for the first time?
Yes, when we first moved in together.
It does change things.
100%, because you think you know someone, but you don't really know someone until you live with them 24/7, see how their bathroom habits are, or
how they eat their cereal.
Yes, how they...
Which I had already known that before you moved in. But
right. Or
there's a lot of habits that you don't see when you don't live with each other.
Right.
And so I think giving yourself time to know the person, let them spend the night at your house throughout the year or two that you're dating, and then moving in, you'll be a little bit more used to those personality traits.
I remember when I first moved in, and I actually cried because it was the first time that I had not lived with a family member in my whole life, because I went from living with my mom and my siblings to just my brothers, and then I was living with my fiance, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is real. I'm like a big kid now, and like I'm like the stakes are higher, and
got bills.
Right. But I mean, I think you made it so easy. The transition for me, you were really there. He was really supportive for me, because PJ has been living on his own since you were
22.
Right. And when we moved in, you were like 28, 29.
Yeah.
So he had been living on his own forever. And so I don't know, it was a fun experience. And I will say, another case for waiting is it was something new and exciting in our relationship that had already been, at that point, 5 years old. We discovered a whole new side of our relationship that we didn't even know about.
And got to build on. And it was nice because I feel like because we took our time with every step in our relationship, that we were able to enjoy each step more and more and more and more.
Exactly.
And more. And now we've been living together for
4 years. So
4
almost
years.
as long as we didn't live together.
And we've almost worked out the kinks, but we haven't.
We've only tried to kill each other like 3 or 4 times, but we're still here, so I
Right.
think we're fine.
We're not gonna kill each other just yet.
Aww.
But yeah, so that's our moving in together story and some tips from us on how it worked for us and
Yep.
maybe how it didn't work in some
Yeah.
cases. But is there anything that you would change about how we went about it?
I don't think that I would change anything. Honestly, I think we waited a good amount of time.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't think I would change anything either.
Good.
I think if I could go back and not be so against sharing like the bank account situation.
Oh, yeah.
I pushed very hard on that.
We can't stress enough how much of a struggle that was for us. We really had to work through it.
It was some of our biggest fights. And it
Uh-huh.
wasn't even like our biggest arguments. And it wasn't even like we were financially distressed, but it was just the fact that I didn't want to give him control over my money.
It was something new, and
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll do maybe another video about
we
that.
need to.
Because there was a lot of drama with it.
There was.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up.
Please, and if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. It would really help us out.
Yep, and if you have any ideas for future videos, leave a comment down below and let us know what you want to see. Until next time.